Jesus is king, man. Yeah. Yo. Welcome back to the channel, to Crime Wave TV. Not the same, you know what I'm saying? Is it Crime Wave TV? But this is Crime Wave. Christ really is moving everywhere, because he really is. And wave, as in wave file. This is a Christian channel. If you don't like it, you can leave. Well, actually, I hope you stay, because I hope you find Jesus, man. You know what I mean? It's just pretty good, you know? No, I'm just playing. But I'm serious. So, but check this out, though. So, this is part 2 of the mixing video. Now, I'm aware after the upload, like, it's like a lot of the audio, it was like you couldn't hear it because the way I have to mix, and when I play the music, you couldn't hear what I was saying. So I'm gonna just go over some stuff briefly from the last video if you missed it or you couldn't hear it. Cause and to this video, I'll try not to play the what am I saying? Yeah, I'll try not to play the music and talk while it's happening. I'll try to explain everything after I demonstrate the music. It'll just make it easier. But yeah, so you know, you can check out G.I. Wonder YouTube page. It's the shirt right here, you know what I'm saying? G.I. Wonder, guy, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, G.I. Wonder, you know what I'm saying? Check out the YouTube page. Description in the link. You can check out my latest project. Click the pre-save link for 93. It'll be out on all streaming platforms on the first of the month, like Bone Thugs and Harmony. Speaking of which, that'll be the Bizbone video coming real soon. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna show y'all behind the scenes on how I mix that, and it'll be to a 2-track, but it's from, like, I had the stems to the beat, but it'll be to a 2-track because I had to transfer the session because there was just a lot of CPU being used, and it was easy for me. But I'll explain that when we get to busy. But right now we got to get busy on this video. This is part 2, and I'm gonna show you how to mix vocals to mixed instruments now, and stems. And it's better to have stems, if for those of you who don't know. So just a little overview. Last time we talked about the gain staging and leveling process and how that gets you to a great stage in your mix. And what we talked about, we can move me out the way. So when we talked about last time, correct, was peaking. That peaking at -6, -4, for the mastering engineer to do his job. Like when you have the total sum of all your instruments and the kick being the loudest, 808 tucked under it. So, and I know last time, I think during the kick, I was playing the kicks, I was talking and you couldn't hear what I was saying. So now I'm just gonna do a brief overview and explain. I hope you guys understand it from last. If not, I should do another video. But I feel like you can get the gist of it here. So with the kicks, right? Matter of fact, let's unsolo this stuff. So that way I can, like, do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything can be, you can hear what I'm trying to do just alone. So if I have to do some more in this video, I think I am. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna just talk about, well, not, that ain't gonna be long, not as long, hopefully. I just be going. So, but hopefully it ain't gonna be as long. But you know what I'm saying? And please like and subscribe to this channel, like this video. If you dislike it, that's cool too. But yeah, man. Alright, so let's just mute the vocals right now, because we're gonna work on that in a few minutes. I promise. This is a vocal video. This is not gonna be the instrument, but I'm just giving that overview because I know it could be confusing last time. Like, what is he saying? I can't hear the music too loud, man. Music too loud, man. All right. All right. So our kicks. Remember, our kicks Remember the plug-in. We start with our plug-in. Everything is at 0 on the master fader. We start with our plug-in. The plug-in is here. You know what I'm saying? Our classic EQ uses input. We turn it down so it peaks at -10. That's lit. And you can see how it kind of hit like right above, like follow left. Okay, anytime I move this cursor like this, just know I'm using the cursor. So keep your eyes over here. So yeah, see how it hit like right above that 9, or like just hovering right above it, like, and you can see it here. Just make sure, the most important thing is this is the master fader is at 0 right here, and you paying attention to this -10. And just look at, you know what I'm saying, the individual channel if you need to, if you're playing everything all together. But that's the most important part. This right here is at 0, and you got your EQ as a trim plugin. Using it as that, it's fine to have saturation and warm mode. It just gives a little bit of extra edge. It doesn't really change the audio. So let's go here. And you saw it peaking at -10, like, so we're good there. And then you got your bass. And it's a little hot, so you can move your fader too. I'm not saying that. Okay, so that's like right in between that 18 and 19. I mean, not 18. Yeah, 18 and 9, like literally the midway mark. Somewhere in that -14, -16. It'd be a lot easier to read if it was on the other Mixcraft, but since they got the new one. But just pay attention to that. This meter. And you can see at the meter here, somewhere in about there was right. So when we play it together, the 808 sits right under the kick. And I'm telling you, this will make it, you won't even have to move it. You can just adjust your parallel kicks to get more punch if you like. But you won't even have to move it, the whole mix. In my experience, I mean, it just worked when I mixed the vocal. So check it out, how it sits right under. And of course, before we go, we have the distortion to give that illusion that it's louder. You put like 15 in there, but you go to your post gain and gain stage, turn it back down to that level over here, where it's in between. You keep it there the whole time, but so that way you can really, the whole point is so you can really hear what's going on, because loud is better to us. And you get confused and you think it's better, but you're not really making real changes as far as the like details of the frequencies in the audio. So we can put our distortion on, just pull it back down, and we can hear how it sets. You see, and you can hear how the 808 is still hitting. It has that aggression. It has, it sits right under the kick, so that's at a good place. And then let's go to our clap. And remember, that was in the same spot as the 808. So we can turn it down. See how my computer, it does this weird glitch thing, and it kind of misreads sometimes. So sometimes I have to go back and be careful and just listen intently and close out of the session, maybe come back and see where it actually hit, because sometimes it just glitches. That's just my computer. It might not do that with you guys, but know what you got, because this is not the best computer in the world. But, we make do. I make do with what I have. So let's see where it's hitting. We want to get it to hit in the same spot as the 808. Remember we talked about this in the last video. This will be vocal, but for the sake of this part, reinstating, let's look at the clap. Yep, about there. And like I said, with the compression, you want to have that that slow attack. You want the snare to crack through. Unless you want somebody, you can kind of dial it back to fast attack. It clamps down on it as soon as it engages. But in my experience, hip hop, I want that clap to really just, you know what I'm saying? I want it to go. So I leave it there. And the frequencies are pretty good. Usually I find in the snare around, see, I would just boost this. I give it that natural weight because you want that weight. And that when you give it volume, it'll sound better when it starts to cut through, and it sounds better against the hi-hat when you kind of tame this top part, these top frequencies. It's like 5 to five and up, maybe start at like 7. I used to start at like 8, somewhere around here. Just take the 6 band, kind of carve it out with this high pass filter or low pass filter. Here you go, getting confused again, but you know what I'm trying to say. So let's just. See, it's a little body. It's a little more body right there in that 300. You just usually where I find the body. I didn't boost it last time because I like the way it sounded, but I usually find body here, so you can just boost. Like I usually boost here, and I give it right much because it's more of something you can feel in the snare in this area. Like you do that here, it'll be a little more apparent, and sometimes I can make it sound more thin. It's like the thin part of the snare, like we can kind of hear it. See, it has its like weird frequencies, so I usually don't touch it. But that's up to you. But just use your ears. Like I said, you got to train your ears. So I can go like maybe like 2.8. And it's still, as we can see, it's still peaking in that level that we wanted. That 808 where the 808 was hitting in that same range. I usually put the snare and 808 in the same spot, and it gives it optimal, volume, and it sounds full. It sounds great. It's just a great place to start mixing after you level, and it fits a lot better with the vocal, because when we do vocals, generally the point is to try to get the vocal as loud as the snare. That's how I've been taught. So let's see here. Okay. Had to check something. All right, so. Yeah. Let's play it. So yeah, let's see, I started talking over this clap again, but I'm going to play it with it and we can kind of hear with everything else. All right, so look, check this out. This is without the EQ. Now let's play it with. And you can notice a slight change how the more the body kind of popped into it, and it's more like, okay, it has a little more aggression now. It's weightier. It like I can feel it more versus without it. It's not a bad sound, but it's kind of like light and thin, it could be good if you like that, but I like the mines to be more weighty, so. Yeah, and to me, it's a lot smoother when we go into that mastering phase, you know what I'm saying? So we turn it back down. Oh, yeah, too, and just like those melodies I was talking about, this was another thing I had. I gave that effect, crowd stadium, because that was the feel of the song. I wanted to be like we were on stage. So, yeah, like you literally do it the same way. Pull up your EQ, turn it down, hits -18. You can just tuck it under the main melody, and you can pan it like literally. So something like that for that duration, I would literally pan it like left to right gradually. Like maybe I would like, you know what I'm saying? I go 50, like go high here, maybe 60, and it just gradually kind of works its way down to 100. Well, to left. I wouldn't go 100, but maybe I would. But yeah, we can kind of hear it. Let's check it out with the audio. Pay attention to this track 24, Stadium Crowd. Check it out. And you can see how it's kind of like like the crowd was kind of like moving, just to give it that effect. And that's why panning is very, very good. We could do another video on panning sometime in the future. So yeah, that's the kick, and you know everything like I was talking about, getting everything leveled. How about the leveling, tucking things under? When it when it comes to that melody, just tuck it under. Leave it at -18. It's the point for usually for the main melody. This is what's it here. You can make it what you want though. And I tuck stuff under, pan these guitars. And yeah. So yeah, that was, and the hi-hats, we tuck those, put them at -18, make them, put them under the kick. It just sounds a lot better. It's easier to manage because the hi-hats can get really, out of control. That's what I just found it to be in every mix. What I do when I do hip hop, and I mean that's what I do generally and all the time anyway in R&B. So that same type of feel in certain situations, but nonetheless, we're gonna finally start with the vocal. All right, so this is after you got it, and I'll do a 2-track video, but stems are better. If you can get the stems, get the stems. If not, it's cool. But today is a stem video, and we're gonna do vocals, and I'm gonna show you how I do vocals, rap vocals. All right, so this is my vocal here.
The trailer parked the empty shopping cart to
No, that's not it. That is it, but that's another part I'll show you in a few minutes. But this is it here.
The trailer parked the empty shopping carts to dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Daddy turned the music up.
See, it's not, it's not bad recording. You can hear some of the the closet I recorded in. But it was decent. It came out decent. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like I said, the best thing you can do is when you get when you like set your preamp to a good level. Like check it to where it peaks around -6, and if not, it's better to have it a little bit lower so you won't ruin your audio. Because I've heard the analogy, if your audio is too hot, it's like trying to unburn food. You can't put the food back in the pan and unburn it. But if it's not cooked all the way, you can just keep cooking it. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of that analogy when it comes to the audio of the vocal, make sure your vocal on your preamp, like this is fine. Like you can come here and turn this up all day and adjust it and whatever you need to do, because you can always turn that down. But if it's not, if it did not get recorded into your preamp or whatever properly and into a level that's low enough, not too low, because you can get some of that hiss in it. I believe, like I still believe you can get that like from the noise floor, from like old gear, old style. I think it's still, but it's not really a thing in modern day, because mix inside the box, quote unquote, is what they call it, like the inside the DAWs or whatever. But yeah, you want to make sure you get an optimal level, so where you can manipulate it to where you can turn it up, and you still have headroom, because you're gonna be putting compressors on it, you're gonna be mixing it, and you just really gotta you know what I'm saying, make sure that is good. So here we have it. Yeah, so this is our vocal, and it's recorded pretty well. And so before we get started, before I record, I like to run it through some compression, like literally. Maybe I'll do my 6, and I'll do my 2. See, this was different back then. That's why I cut so much. But now this is the way I do it now. I put literally 2 and 6. This just like I do the instruments. Remember when I was gluing instruments? This helps to get the vocal gets glued. I literally do 6, -6 on the threshold, the compressor, the one on the channel 39, and then the drive knob saturation, I give it about 2. So we start off going in. It's just like that when you use the outboard gear and using gear, it usually has this natural compression and saturation that comes with it, and that's why you hear the difference in like professional studios and stuff, because they have this expensive gear, and this kind of helps that. I do like Mixcraft. I appreciate Mixcraft doing that, because I feel like Mixcraft is kind of behind on a lot of stuff, but I like their development. I like the underdog. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and I like just to. I always like to use what people kind of look down upon. Well, people don't look down upon, but some people do. I mean, but it's so user friendly. But anyway, yeah. So we got, this is kind of how I bake my stuff into my audio before I even start the mix. So you can listen.
Parked the empty shop and cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy.
Still a decent sound, right? Like it's still, we baked it in there. You can hear some of that room, but I'm gonna show you. Okay. So the first thing I like to do is start with the EQ. So what I like to do. Now let's play it with the audio.
Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is rough and you think rough is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but why they pick your poison make a difference. I move with a militia, not militia.
Okay, so you can hear that. It's kind of, so let's do it without.
Shop and cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like
With.
Empty shop and cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is
Without.
the trailer parked the empty shop and cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights.
If you can hear that difference, you can hear kind of how it's like darker. It's like in mixing and stuff, darker just means it's more bassy than it is like high frequency. That stuff that's like the clean 2K, 10K and stuff like that. It gives that more expensive quote unquote sound. Yeah, but you can tell how it brightened it up, and that was just literally 3 EQ moves. That's literally what I do on every vocal, like literally everyone. I'm not joking, but I have a method to my madness, because I want to show you how the volume fader becomes my best friend after I do my my cleanup. Like the volume fader becomes the thing, and I use the fact that humans perceive loudness as better when it comes to music. Louder is better to my advantage for my consumers and just for myself when it comes. But we'll get into it, I promise. So here, right? So this is your first one. Your first. Now, people, I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with this trick. It's all right. I'm gonna show you how to do. This is what I do. I do 3 EQ moves, and I only use 1 EQ. Yes, I only use 1 EQ. Like literally for my vocal. So we start here. Now what I'm gonna do is play it. And what I'm gonna do is play it until it gets thin. Then I'm gonna back off. And I'm gonna show you where I find the best frequency at. And this is literally how I do my vocals when I start. So let's play it. Well, before we go, the best thing to do is to know, basically like where not to go. When doing these EQ moves, the best thing to do is just to crank it as loud as you can, or go as like basically destroy it. And I'm gonna explain this, demonstrate this in a minute. Destroy it until it like you really it's like, okay, I don't want to go here with it. So that way you give yourself less options, so you're more objective when it comes to your mix, and you have somewhere to actually take your vocal or whatever it is you're mixing. Like I showed you in the kicks and stuff, you boost it up really high. It's like, okay, that's way too high, obviously. And you know what I'm saying? So that way you know, okay, I'm making subtle moves. That's the point of mixing. Because all these little moves are going to add up. So check this out, right? So that's sweep.
The trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth, and youth and wealth is riches, see we different.
Engage the plug in. Okay, so turn the plug in on. All right, now let's sweep.
The trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth, and youth and wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. The trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth, and youth and wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving like a
Okay, so I found a good spot at about 77. And some may say that's too low, some may say that's too high. But usually I find it around, sometimes even 60. But I find it around here because you want to keep that body. This is going to give you, like, from this, like these lows here, like 63 hertz. Because, like, the human voice can't produce really anything in the sub area. It's not really a thing. But when you come from, like, 63 and kind of you get to, like, 500, that's, like, the meat of your vocal. That's where it's gonna get the beefiness, and that's where, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna keep the body in your vocal. So you want to literally so when I first started, when people say cut, I used to always think like, okay, you gotta cut it out, period. Like you don't want it there at all. But it's not really the case. It's the whole point of equalizer is to balance out the vocal. You want to hear all the frequencies, but you want to make them even, and or like, you know, to where it's enjoyable. So it's like when we leave this up, it's not quite even or it's not as intelligible because it's more dark, it's more bass. You can't really hear my words because I sound more like this, more covered up like a stick. But and when I start to move stuff out the way, like I sweep and I cut, and like the only one you gonna really take all the way out is that sub bass. So you know you're stopping at like 77. Then from everything on up, you just turning it down, like you're cutting it down, like you're literally, like I was talking about, EQ is just turning down frequencies in different areas. It's literally a volume control for specific frequencies. That's what you're kind of doing. So we get here, we cut all the way up, completely out to like 77. We good.
The trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes.
And now, since I was in like a closet, you're really gonna find that nasty stuff. But you still need it, but you need to just tame it in this like 300 to 500. Like I would sweep there. That's literally what I do. I sweep here, so check it out.
The trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving like a missile, I don't move without the scripture. This was it, see.
Now you notice how I turned it down, and you can kind of hear that room getting tamed a little bit, and that's all you want, because the mix is only good as your recording, and you want to keep the integrity of the voice. That's my style of mixing. I try to keep it as natural as possible and just, you know, get it to fit in the mix. And that's what I've done here. I just went to I found that frequency at about, and notice how I listened first. Like, okay, so.
This was at CBC, start like ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a bitch.
You can hear it. It's like it's a subtle sound. You can hear it. That's like in the back that you can hear the room. Like
one start like ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Daddy turned one start like ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Daddy turned.
You can hear it on the ch-ch-ch-ch. It's like a weird sound. Listen.
One start like Daddy.
You may have heard that. All right, so let's put it on. Let's listen to it with the EQ.
The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up.
More tame. It's not as, you know what I'm saying, and it's even better with the music. Like it's less apparent because you know you listen to it with the music. So
Played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up. My mama made a biscuit.
mind you, this is gonna get turned up, but nonetheless, it's pretty much out of there. Oh, well, let's put this back at 0 first.
Car would start like Daddy turned the music up. My mama made a biscuit.
All right, then my last move, literally, like, okay, so a lot of people, which is known as the attention frequency or the pain frequency, because it can get crazy depending on, is these necks, these mids. But some people cut them out, and which is fine. You can do that, and you might find problems here and there. But the thing that I found is right, because okay, so the whole point of the EQ is you want to hear, you want to hear the whole spectrum. Like you want to be able to hear literally everything from that 77, like all the way up to 20,000, right? Because the human voice is so dynamic. It's the most dynamic instrument. You want to be able to hear all of those frequencies in the voice. So even when you come down and you turn this stuff down, right? At some point in your process, you're going to add it back. It's just going to be more tamed. That's the whole point. You're trying to tame the vocal. You're not necessarily trying to cut anything out. You're just trying to tame the good, like all the good stuff. And you might have some room stuff in there. But if that's the case, it's like, okay, how about we focus on fixing the room, not my voice? Because your voice is what it is. It's a God-given thing. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's the point. So what I found, instead of cutting this out, I don't touch it at all. What I just do to give it more clarity, I come up here. It's about 10K or 11K. I find my voice is more 11K. You just use your ears. I boost it to give that high-end stuff that we like that make it sound expensive. I boost it about 4.4. And let's hear it.
The trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part.
Without.
Played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up. My mama.
Let's do with.
Crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up. My mama made a biscuit.
And you can hear it. Yeah, doesn't it sound a lot lighter? It sounds like, oh, it's getting there. And that's just literally how I started. Like this is my initial EQ and my only EQ on my vocal. Because from this point, when things are wrong, I'm going to show you, I started using the volume fader because that is how we determine what's good and what's bad, right? Like loud is better. So I started using that, but I make sure I have the frequencies I want to be as accentuated in place. Like I want this to be boosted because this is how things are mixed these days. Everything is clean, super bright. So I literally start with this. Then I move on to compression. Hold up. What I'm gonna do here is whoa. Okay, guys, I'm back. I'm sorry. Had to pee. Speaking of I Gotta Pee, that's a song off 93. Check that out. In the link in the description. Project coming soon on all streaming platforms. It'll be out on the 1st of the month. New Year's, baby. Let's go. Let's go. But, yeah, no. So, yeah, where we left off is, all right. So we talked about the EQ and everything and how that works. Let's listen to that vocal.
Health is wealth, and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the.
Has that brightness, but it could have some issues as far as the S's and the you know what I'm saying? Because you want to de-ash, you don't want that stuff to pierce through and hurt people's ears and all that good stuff. So what I do next, I use a multi-band compressor. Yes, it's still stock plug-in, the classic one too, like the classic one, the legacy joint. See that? The broadcast processor. Now, with this multi-band compressor, it's not like any other because it's not just a multi-band compressor. It's a limiter and a spatial image processor. Meaning, just spreading out this the audio in the stereo field, and it has those functions. So we can kind of go over what each one is. So this first set right here, okay? This is the multi-band compressor. This is the only thing I focus on. This is for the lows, and then we can kind of hear it. So this is the volume control in it, right? The volume, it engages those frequencies. So you can just turn the other frequencies off. Let's just focus on like the lows. So on the parallel to the EQ, it'll be in this area, like the 77 to maybe like 500. I want to say, or 250 maybe. But let's kind of use our ears. All right, let's play it.
Bite the fruit, but why he takes the poison make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving like a missile, I don't move without the picture.
Now, can you hear that? Like, it's just literally that, and that stuff is important. Like, that frequency in your voice is important because it gives it body. But the point is to tame it. Now, with it engaged, let's play it back without the. All right, let's play it back. I may have it engaged, and I want to show you without it first. But let's just play the vocal.
Wealth and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit.
Okay, yeah, you can still hear with the EQ, like just the EQ, how clear it got. That's my dog walking in. Hey, what are you doing? All right, so check this out. So yeah, so we on. So let's engage a multi-band back, and to show this frequency.
The trailer parked the empty shop across the dirty dishes. The crazy part.
Important frequency, right? Now, as you can see here, I've done some stuff. I've toyed with it a little bit because this is usually how I do it. But let's bring it back. So and when you bring it all the way down, this allows the threshold. This is the threshold working immediately, like literally. It works immediately as soon as, that frequency is heard. It starts to work. Just the ratio. The gain, I usually don't touch it because I literally made a custom one to where. So what I've done is, I'll show you that in a few minutes. But for the sake of this part, there's a ratio. All right, so.
The trailer parked the empty shop across the dirty dishes.
And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it down to where it's still there, but it's more tamed. So.
The trailer parked the empty shop across the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car was start like. Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth, and youth and wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but why he takes the poison make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better.
And you can hear it's not much at all, but it literally is subtle, and it just kind of just tames it down because I want that frequency. I just want it to be more tame. So the higher frequencies could pop through better, and you can hear more of the words, and the vocal is more intelligible, it's more clean. And literally, I always literally find it when the ratio bar is literally just like slightly offset from the gain. When the gain is right here, like I always look at this like the 30, kind of like right after. Like that's where the gain is, and kind of for like all of them, like cause this is my low mids, and then this is like the mids and the highs, so like all the way up, and this is like the lows and the mid, like the low, maybe the mid, but it's like the low stuff, as you can hear. So I turn my threshold all the way down, and I do that for here too. I don't touch this when I'll explain why. Yeah, and the side is just like the stereo field. You see, you can always pull it out too. When it comes to rap vocals, I usually had a hook a little wider, so I put it up here. But I usually don't touch it because this is the lows. I keep that in the middle because bass usually goes in the middle, and this is the quote unquote bass of your voice. But I think I'm gonna start spreading it out because it really doesn't have that much bass, and if I spread it out, the bass would be a little. The bass will be better in the song. So let's just try it. Yeah, let's spread that out too. Okay. So let's engage everything. Like literally, this is what I started with the lows. I moved the ratio up to where it's offset, just to control that low frequency stuff. So let's hear it all together. See, now you listen to it without the other two frequency bands engaged. And one thing to know about the multi-band compressor, it turns it down temporarily. Because like, it's, the threshold, when it hits that certain peak, it'll turn it down and stuff like that. But EQ turns it down permanently. Because remember, it's literally a volume control. You literally turn it down for the duration of the song. Like, and then here, that's where the EQ is more of like a carving tool. It's like you're carving it to where you accentuate more of one sound than the other, so it's more audible and intelligible to the listener. That's why we just carved here, boosted here, we turned it up here, so it has a certain sound for the listener. Multi-band compressor or compressors in general are temporarily volume controllers. They turn it down for a while. That's why you got like a attack and release, fast attack, slow attack. It'll grab it, turn it down as it needs to, and so on and so forth. So that way you have a, what are we doing here? Let me see if I can, hold on. Okay. This is where we are. Hey, how y'all doing? All right, so, yeah, so we'll have that, with the compressor, it's temporarily turning it down. So as we move on, dang, where'd my face go? Whoa. Minimize me, man. All right, so as we move on, we're done with the low, and we can go to the high part. I mean, the mid. I don't do anything with this one. Threshold all the way up. Ratio, I don't touch it. The gain is in the middle like the rest of them. And the side, I just touch the side. This is ambient. This is like reverb. I don't fool with this. I leave all the way down because I add reverb, and I don't really need it. But you can use it. It's just, I think that's part of the spatial image processor session. Oh, then to note too, you can turn this pre-gain off because this is like the limiter session. Turn that off. Yeah. All these usually I turn that off. This is off. Literally, in this X, Y, and X2, I don't really know what that is. I just leave it like it is. And the output, I literally, this is the volume. So with it all engaged, right? Let's play it.
Wealth is wealth and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison.
Now let's turn it off. The whole plug-in.
But wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not
on.
A militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, because my music is a picture. Moving like a missile, I don't move without.
Notice how I literally try to get it like the same volume, the gain stage, so I know what I'm affecting, so I'm not getting tricked. That's the big key in this output. Just play with it, engage it, unengage it, to where it's like the same volume, so you know exactly what you are affecting on your vocal. So, moving on to the next band. We have it here. Now, in the how about to say in the description, in the vocal, this next band, it's like this stuff, like on up. I already cut it here. Like I just don't touch it. Literally, I don't touch it. Like it's literally, I mean, you can, but I don't do too much because it has body. So let's. This is with. Well, let's do it by itself.
The car would start like ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture.
See, this is, and that is the same frequency as like maybe that 1K. Let's try it.
My mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely.
See, and that's important frequency. Like let's play it on this again on the multiband.
My mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth.
Yes, it's like that 1K. So this first one's like that 73 to like 500. This is like that 1K to like lower mids. And this is like high mids on up with your highs. So that's important stuff. If you cut too much of that, your intelligibility can get lost in your vocal, and it sounds like nothing is there if we just hollow it out. But what I do on this multiband, because I've already done that work, is it's there naturally from the microphone. Me personally is how I do it. I don't touch it. I just move it all to the side because I want to spread my vocal out a little bit more just to have it some space because I'm gonna add reverb. I just literally move the side. That's it. I move on. And we can play both frequencies together on the multiband. All right, so.
Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth.
Then you add your highs back in and your high mids. So let's.
Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your.
That's the whole entire vocal, right? So, and for here, turn the threshold all the way down, just the highs. Now, I literally move the ratio slightly because I use this as a de-esser. And what that does, that tames the S's in your vocals because they're usually in that higher frequency range like 10K and 8K, which you need for that brightness, right? You want that clean sound. That's why we boost it here. But in that, you can start to boost the sibilant sounds, which is like the st and the hard stuff, and it just gets hard to the listener. And so what I do is just tame it a little bit, and I do it based off if I'm actually using S words in my verse. If not, I don't really use it because they don't have to. But you should think of it more as a means to tame the S's, but it doesn't necessarily target S's and T's. Like it doesn't know that you're using S's and T's. It just tames that frequency where S's and T's are more, where they resonate more. So that's why it's important not to go crazy on it because you can squash that high-end pristine sound that you want for your vocal to cut through out of your vocal if you overuse it. So we can listen to it in solo and you can kind of hear what that frequency actually is. So let's check it out. As you can see, as you can hear, that's that nice clean stuff, right? So I just use it a little bit, use my ears. I really don't go crazy with it because I like it. And like I said, this right here becomes my best friend. And the compressor, using compressors also helps tame it too. But if I have, say I have like, the majority of my vocal is good, but it's some parts where the S's just get really like, okay, this is too much. I don't destroy what I have in that frequency. Like I like where this is sitting. I move this to the side. Like I take the side and I spread it out just as much as these because I want it to all be spread out. Just spreading the vocal out in the stereo field. But it's still mono. It just gives it a little more width, just to make it sound bigger. If you listen to the records and use reference tracks, you can kind of hear that in some songs, depending on what it is. Most pop records are like that too. But yeah, and the gain's in the same space. It's like these because you want it all to be even. Because literally you can turn that frequency up and it'll be lopsided. But like I said, you want it to be how it is like before you put anything on it, because you're trying to make changes that you can hear. So you just A/B it and see what's happening. Just use your ears intently. Like, okay, if I got everything and I'm listening, so let's play it with it.
Turn the music up. My mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and you think wealth is
Then play it without it.
wealth and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but
See, it's like same volume, but you can hear the differences in the changes we made with compressing the different frequencies. And that's kind of where you want it to be, because you can hear those changes effectively without ruining what you have going on. So, yeah. So, like I said about those S's, that de-essing, and I'm going to show you the other actual de-esser on Mixcraft. They finally got one. Pretty cool. But, yeah, I literally go in and I find the S's. I click, you can do pan or you can do track volume, and they got other options right here on the channel itself. You just go here, track volume, and maybe, like, okay, let's see if we can find something.
riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison. Make a difference. Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but
Maybe I don't like C. Like when I say C, like C, health is wealth and C, we different. Da, da, da. Like I don't like that the way the S hits. I'll literally.
Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. See, we different. See, we different. See, we different. Don't bite the.
And I'll literally take the volume and I'll turn down the first beginning of it. And it's good to zoom in, just to really hone in. Like, okay, so.
Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the.
And I move the volume nodes up, so it is targets literally that S, like literally the first beginning of C.
Think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit.
And just to kind of tame it. Just to tame the S, because that's the whole point of the de-esser. So a de-esser can be misleading in a sense. Like it could be like, oh, it tames the S's. Like yes and no. Like it does, but you also affect the other frequencies, because a de-esser is literally just a multi-band compressor. And it just has the frequencies that the S's would be in available on it. And I can show you that in the de-esser. But that could be teased, but that's how I like to do it, because I like to keep my stuff natural as possible, and I want everything to still have its integrity. And I think that's just the safest way to do it, so you don't have to overthink and overuse. That's just me personally. But if you want to use a de-esser, it's literally the same concept, but it's easier because it doesn't have the other frequencies to kind of go. Because, okay, so literally, see, this literally like 3,000, like it literally goes, yeah, it starts at 2,000 hertz. Because maybe you have S's hearts in those. But it's a de-esser, so it literally starts, like, it's literally the multi-band compressor minus these two. It's literally the multi-band, it's just like the top. Like, remember what I showed you here? Let's take this off right quick. Remember what I showed you in the vocal? It's literally that. Like, that's what the de-esser is. Like, the de-esser just entails that frequency alone, starting from about 2,000 hertz, and you can go all the way up to 10,000. So you can kind of hear where, yeah, you listen to yourself. You listen for yourself in your voice or whatever vocal you're mixing, where it starts, like where you hear the harsh S's at, like where are the harsh S's, and you can kind of raise your EQ, like your parametric EQ, and kind of fish for it, like literally take a band and fish for it. And then you can correlate that to the de-esser, because it's all frequency. And like maybe like say, hey, I found my sibilance at 6,000 hertz. And so literally it's a compressor, so it has attack and release. So you literally, and this will be, okay, so the higher you go. Yeah, this is 1 second. So that's slow release. This is a slow attack. This is a fast attack. It'll literally start to engage immediately if you put it like 13 seconds. 9, or this is 0.9. It's like a half of a second. And literally it goes all the way up to 1 second. Maybe you can start at like, I used to do it at like 10, and I wanted to hold it. See, if you put a slow release. Yeah, fast release. And it's different on release. This will be a fast release, like it'll let it go. But if you wanted to hold it for a little while, I'll go like maybe mid. Stereo link, it just links the whole vocal across the whole thing or whatever you're de-essing. So I would link it 100%. But if you want, maybe you wanted to de-ess some side vocals or whatever. But I would just put it 100% in 2-band here. Yeah, leave it on that. And you can put the amount you want. Like, but I would literally, all right, so let's engage it, right?
Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison. Make it start like ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Daddy turned the music up while mama made a.
And you can see how that kind of squashed it. So I would dial it back. Like, say I would dial the amount back, right? So let's do good. And I would literally let it peak about -5. That's the most I would do.
Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison. Make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving like a missile, I don't move without the scripture. Sis was at CBCC while we was making CDs. A prophet with television. Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison. Make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison. Make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving like a missile, I don't move without the scripture. Sis was this.
And that's kind of, see, and it kind of peaked around there. Maybe not so much. But it can also be the frequency, like you can go higher. Excuse me. Let's go 8.
Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison. Make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious.
Now, see, yeah. And that could be like, you just literally use your ears to where your S's hit hard. But if you don't have a lot of S's, you don't really have to use it because it's a de-esser or a lot of the harsh frequencies. And that's kind of how you can use that. You know, you got your attack and release. You can adjust your amount and the sensitivity of it. Oh my God, excuse me. And let's see what this does. Oh, okay. So yeah, like this is the soloing. Like you can kind of hear what's happening. Like how it takes out, how it's affecting that frequency specifically. So let's listen. As you can hear, it's not much at all. So let's find another frequency.
Better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving like a missile, I don't move without the scripture.
Yeah, see, I didn't really find too much in it. And my frequencies are fine. Like, as far like I don't really hear any S's, so I just wouldn't touch it. So then I just move on. That's why I really don't use the de-esser, but it's a good tool. If you want to de-ess, you know, you kind of fish for it, and you can listen, or you can use the EQ. It's really up to you to fish to see if it. But I would listen to it just with nothing first. Like, okay, let's listen intently. Let's just see if a S jumps out. And because you don't want to overthink it, and you can end up squashing your vocal for no reason because you want this stuff. It's just a tool to tame it. That's all. But if you don't have to use it, don't use it. Because I don't use it because it's the same de-esser. The de-esser is right here in the multi-band compressor, because that's all the de-esser is. But I can do a whole video on that later. I just got to remember some of that stuff. I know some guys in here know what that is. But nonetheless, I use my de-esser and all my stuff in the multi-band. So, moving right along. All right. So,
He turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Help
that's the vocal we have so far. EQ'd, de-essed, compressed in the lower range. So then I use an actual compressor on the whole vocal. So let's use. Now I like to do what I call Captain Crunch compression or serial compression. LOL. No. So I usually use two compressors in addition to the the compression I ran it through on the channel itself. What is this channel 39? Yes. So I like to use two compressors. The first compressor, like I said, I let my stuff breathe. Crank it. I literally every time put it around -8, just so we can have some room for that threshold. And I start off with the vocal preset, literally, and I just move threshold up to -8. The ratio being at 2.5/1 is like that's literally how I do it. Like so it just tames it better. For every one it goes over, it turn it over about 2.5 dB. I think that's what that means. I leave it at soft. I literally use a fast attack on my first compressor, just for like volume and to bring some stuff out. So that's
pardon my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Help
you can hear how it kind of pops in. So let's just play it without.
my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is
Notice it's at 0 too. That's how you can really hear what's going on. So let's try it again.
easy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up while mama made.
Just subtle stuff. It just pops it right in. Had it slow attack, pretty quick release, just to bring some of that volume out. You had your threshold at 8, the ratio at 2.51 and over 1, and it's that's kind of bring that volume. Then the second one, this is when I kind of control it. I kind of control everything, like kind of bring everything out, and I even use that volume on this one sometimes. But the same threshold, same ratio, but the attack is fast, like literally as fast as said, and the release is a little bit slower. Like I just crank it up just slightly. So let's hear it. Let's hear it without the volume to see what's actually happening.
The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit.
Notice how when I popped it in, it got more control. This is the second compressor with the fast attack and the slower release. So
Wash the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like
pay attention to me engaging and unengaging it. See listen to how it kind of just smooths it out and tames everything. Okay, so
car would start like Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference.
And it's super loud, so let's turn it down. Oh, I'm making mistakes, guys. You gotta call me out on that. All right, so
Lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and
it just got tighter. From what I'm hearing, it got tighter and it got more control. That's what you want with those compressors. And now I do compression, how I do de-essing. Same kind of concept. Once I find a good level and it sounds like everything is pretty even, but I have just certain parts that's kind of low, I do volume automation manually. It just gives it a better sound, and I don't squash by cranking the compressor. I keep it natural. So let's listen to it. Let's find like a low part.
You think wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving like a missile, I don't move without the scripture. Sis was at CBCC while we was making, moving like a missile, I don't move without the scripture. Sis was at CBCC while we was making CDs. A prophet with television while we was watching TV. The worth is in the family, the price is in, cause feel is up to me. Gotta feed the folks believe in Jesus though, but I really gotta believe it though. If I peek the locusts, don't let them drive you crazy. Family, the price is inconceivable. Don't let them drive you crazy, switch the motor, it's on. The locusts, don't let them drive you crazy, switch the motor, it's on. My mama made a biscuit, played a major part in my ambition. The dirty dishes, the crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out.
Okay, I think I already done it right here. Like this is part, so let's listen to it low. And if it doesn't have any part, that's good, because the whole point, like I said, you record well, you record a good distance away from the mic, step back when you get louder slightly. It makes it easier, because that's the whole point. You get the best recording possible, you get the best mix possible. So
Shopping cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like.
See how it kind of dipped, but it was only on that part. Like, that's the only part I found. So I would just simply volume automate. We turn it up. So
the crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights
still kind of low. It's like the crazy part that played a major part. It's like it's kind of low. So and you can crank your compressor a little bit more. It's up to you. But me personally, how I do, I like to keep it as natural as possible. I have a set way with the compressor. Then I just start to use volume automation. Makes it easier. And it can be more tedious, but I trust it more personally, because I can get really creative and keep going and going and going and keep listening. Like, well, it could be better. Like, but you do have to have a stopping point. And the best way I found is just keep things more natural, so that way you know the frequencies will be heard. You know you have this high end because it's actually there, and then you take into account that the whole point is just to tame things and even things out. And I found this to be the easiest way, so.
It cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out the car.
And now you can kind of see we found it there, right? Like it's even with everything else just by just literally turning it up. Because that's what a compressor does. It just does it automatically versus you doing it manually. Like you turn down the lower part. Well, you turn up the lower part, you turn down the higher parts. In this case, we turned up a lower part, so.
Dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights.
You see how it went away? Now I can redo the stuff. Hold on. And let's try it.
Dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights.
And it sounded even just simply off of turning it up. Now you can do this before or after, but I used to do it after my two compressors. And when I do two compressors, I listen intently. I go through, I turn down higher parts, I turn up lower parts, and that's pretty much it. But that's why I usually try to make sure the artist or myself is recording properly, so it won't be as hard to do in post. It just makes it a lot easier. That's how I do the compression. Like my compression consists of the 3. And that includes this one, like on right here, and then I put the 2, 1 for the volume. I turn it up with the with the slow attack, and then I do one with a fast attack, and the opposite release, the slower release, and one with a faster release. Those 2 compressors, and then I do my volume automation. Then I'm done with compression. Then to add to, maybe I hit some more room in it, right? Let's listen.
The part the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major.
I'm like, okay, I don't want to cut anymore, because I feel like I found a good EQ as far as my vocal, as far as my compression. So what do? I use the gate just to cut that background noise out. Or you can slice, like you can literally go in, zoom in, and we'll split and kind of cut out the parts where I breathe. But you can use a noise gate. It does the same thing, so let's try it.
Biscuit. Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, because my music is a picture. Moving like a missile, I don't move without the scripture.
And literally, I don't touch anything else on here but the threshold. Like everything else, literally, I leave it how it is. I just crank it until it starts to do this weird thing where it cuts the vocal all the way out. Because you have it too high, it'll cut your vocal out. So like,
Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches.
see how I started to like cut stuff out. So I find it maybe at like 40, -40.
With a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving like a missile, I don't move without the scripture. Sis was at CBCC while we was making CDs. A prophet with television while we was watching TV.
Maybe like 43, actually. Somewhere around there. And literally it cuts out those extra breaths and maybe the room kind of still seeping in a little bit. And just gives a cleaner sound, and it helps when you actually play it with the music. So let's try it.
Ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up while mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music.
See how I kind of got tighter too? Like it just tightened up those breaths and stuff and cut the loose stuff out, like the little baby reverb that's in the back from the room and stuff. So listen to it.
Bought the empty shopping cart, the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like
It just made a slight difference, and it really helps. That's what I use, just to gate literally the just turn the threshold, and that's how I handle those.
The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition.
All right, so then for my last step before I do the fancy stuff, I do reverb. And I'm gonna show you a trick with this. All right, so depending on how I want to do it, I cut the bass out of the reverb. You can put it in, but you got to be careful because it can muddy up your mix. It can literally muddy up the mix. I usually use the Mixcraft Pro Studio reverb. And then I turn the high cut amount up because I want that to be on the main, like because it'll be in the background. That can also cloud up the mix. So I just kind of cut it up in the mid, maybe cut around, what is that to be like 4K maybe? So you can see here 2K, and it goes all the way up to 18K. Cut around 4K, turn the bass down out of it. In the reverb time, I just play with it when it comes to my rap vocals. Let's listen.
Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia.
Somewhere in there is usually good. Like somewhere in there. And then I'll leave everything else how it is. We can get into that later in another video. But just for the sake of this, and I literally turn it up to like, now I'm just gonna look crazy, but I'm gonna show you. It's gonna make sense, I promise you. So I turn it up more towards the wet. Like wet just means it's affected. Dry means it's not affected. Like the reverb is on, the reverb is off. So I make it sometimes. Yeah, I go like here. So let's listen to it. Okay, I go there. And then you can see here I saved it. So I save it. This is rich. I'll save it. You know what I'm saying? You can save it. So then I'll go down, right? So that's my reverb. Literally that, right? I go back. I go to my delay. I use classic delay. Simple stuff. You can use whatever you want. But this is when I found to be good. This ping pong. It goes left and right in your ears. Let's listen to it. I do a low cut because it can cloud up your mix too. So I just come up to like 140 here, high cut, and you can keep. It's up to you. You can cut a little bit, you can cut a lot, but usually I find it clouds up my mix, so I cut around 4.5K on delay, and then on my mix, I turn it up at a pretty good level depending on how I want it to float. All right, so I keep it like right here, maybe 101. That's the highest I go because that could get crazy. But maybe here. Let's try here. So you can hear it kind of moving, like you can hear the vocal moving But make sure you get your tempo before you start your project. I mean, this is like obvious stuff, but sometimes I don't sometimes, and it'll make it hard because you want the reverb to be in sync. So you hit synchronization, it'll time sync with the BPM. So you want to make sure you have it in there, and you can kind of play with this other stuff. But yeah, that's usually how I do it. And again, see, it's rich. I save it. So then you think like, well, that sounds terrible. Yes, it does. Like, listen. And we cut it on and we take it off and it's, whatever. But the reason why I do that because I want to see how much I want on. See how much I want on my vocal. Like how much reverb, like how much I want it. Because all this is going to be pushed to the background. It's going to blend in well because we're going to use a send track. Yes, you can go here. Hit send track, and it just gives it more control, and it allows you to use more CPU when you use a send track, and you have more control over the reverb and the delay when we put it on a send track. So literally, you add a send track. I got already added. You literally can add a send track. Click add. It'll pop up. And which one did I use? What the heck is going on? Okay, yeah, this is the one I added. And yeah, I use the stereo in hand, but you don't have to. I use it, yeah, and I literally find our rich delay. We got our rich delay, the one we made. Just make it, you know what I'm saying, and save it. Put it on the send track. This is so it'll be send 2. So you go down to the channel. Let's go 37. No, not 37. Actually, you'll go. The sin is on 37, but the sins shall be forgiven. But let's see. Where the heck are we at, man? See, here I go. I'm gonna get right, I promise. Y'all bear with me. Okay, here we go. The sin. Oh, we go to C32. It's literally already engaged. We have about 18, so let's take it off. Let's listen to it. What are we doing, man? What are we really doing, man? All right, let's take it off. The lights was out, the car would start like. So I do that just to see how it's gonna affect it. Then I take it off. All right, so.
Hope is wealth and you think wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. Turn the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches.
You can see it's in there. It's literally in there. Like it starts, and then you can. That's what I'm saying. You get more control. Like you get to load a good amount in without it, like. Just interfering with the rest of the mix and muddying it up. But that's why I was like, cut the lows out your delay and your reverb so you won't have that issue here because that could become a problem too the more you load in. So let's listen to it and let's fade it in.
Trailer park, the empty shopping carts, the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. The empty shopping carts, the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Help us, bro.
28 sounds pretty decent. And that's literally 20. Because think about this, right? You can go all the way up to 200. Like, it has more resolution. It's just a better way to load in that reverb. So that's fun. I found it at 28. It sounded pretty decent. 28 was pretty decent. So let's listen.
Trailer park, the empty shopping carts, the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major.
It has the feel I want. I'm going for that, like, a little bit of space because I want to sound like I'm in space. And, like, it's really up to you. But for me, this is where I found it, the 28. And literally, that's the vocal. Like when you get all your instruments leveled out, you start at your zeros, and literally, see, I don't have to touch anything else. Like I really do not touch my kick or my snare, or the hi-hats from this point, because I want to level my kick. I will level my vocal to my snare. Literally, if I need more clarity, I'll fool with the volume fader, or I'll on the vocal channel, or I'll fool with the EQ, just cutting some of that low end rumble out of the main vocal, so my vocal has more room to flourish. But before I do that, before we do the volume fader trick, I want to add my parallels, and I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. But that's literally the sum of my vocal chain. There's a lot more drawn out in video, but just for the sake of showing you guys. But since I know it, like I know what I want on it, like every time, it's literally simple. I got the classic EQ just for the volume. That's literally it. Cause sometimes, like the way I load my preamp, when I record them through my preamp, I record pretty low, so I just use it to turn it up. Yeah, and you can use the compressor too. That gives you volume too. Cause I'm gonna use this ultimately, the volume fader. But nonetheless, I use that. I use one EQ, a parametric EQ. I use the sometimes I'll go in this and turn down some more of the low rumble, just for like this is 20 hertz. This is a graphic EQ. It's literally just 20 hertz. But you ain't got to do that. That's some extra I do. But I use the multi-band for my de-essing and controlling the lows. I don't touch the middle. Like I said on here, don't touch it here. With the EQ, sweep, find that stuff to where it thins out. Then I back off. Then I have two compressors, one for the volume, one just to control it tightly. Then I do my volume automation. I put a noise gate. I figure out how I want my reverb and my delay to sound on the channel. Then I put those to a send track. I load it in, and that's literally it for my vocal. That's literally it. That's literally it. So.
Bought the empty shop and cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like.
And then for the good stuff, right? So I'll parallel compress it. Remember, like we done those kicks. Check this out.
Daddy turned the music up, but mama.
Well, no, that's one of the parallel. I use two. I make two copies of the vocal. On the first copy, this copy right here.
Music up, but mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth, and youth and wealth is.
That high end stuff, that crispiness, that expensive sound. This is where we get that at. So I literally is the exact same copy, exact same thing, but I take one of the compressors. Let's find it. Look at it. I didn't even use it. Okay, so I take one of the compressors, dial it back to 20, 50-to-1 ratio. Don't have to be, sometimes I do 25-to-1 for that 33-to-1. Somewhere down there, but 50-to-1 is always good. And literally, I squash the heck out of it. I do fast attack, super slow release, 10 seconds, all the way over. And I take the noise gate and I turn it down, because once you cut all them frequencies out, it gets lower. So I just turn it down so you can hear what we're talking about with this high-end stuff, right? Like this 10K, that bright, nice frequency. So you can see here what happened. See? That's the only difference with that. See, now this is the old way I done it. So just imagine, like, okay, like we just got what we boosted on the other one. So it'll be the exact same copy when you do it. But you take the first low pass, high pass frequency. The high pass shelf thing or whatever, and you literally drag it all the way up to about like that with the what we boosted on the first one. You drag it up to that point, so like 11K around that area. I take my 6-band. Let's see. And I boosted really freaking high, like 13 dB, literally boosted, and that's why I'm saying, and I don't even use the de-esser on here, because it's gonna be so squashed, but it's still gonna be able to be controlled, because you're boosting that much, because you're doing a parallel trick. It's not something you're gonna use as a main vocal. It's you're used it to blend. That's why we're able to squash it. You don't ever want to do a main vocal like this, unless you're just doing something creative. But nonetheless, you squash it. You boost it on the EQ. And literally, it's just literally a duplicate of your main vocal. So you literally put 2 things on it, you squash it, and you boost it, you sweep, you roll off everything below that 11K or wherever you boost it in your first vocal. And you blend it in. So let's blend it. And it was so we can get some more of that crispiness. So well, hold on, let's see.
Like Daddy turned the music up, my mama.
Oh yeah, okay, so it's not even right, we turned it down. Alright, so let's blend it in.
The trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth ain't wealth, and wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like.
And you can hear how they got just a lot more bright. It's like really shiny, clean sound because we blended that top end in even more. So let's listen to it again.
The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car was
gonna bounce back and forth, so pay attention to the mute.
The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth ain't wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, now Daddy turned the music up, my mama.
We can boost it and still sound cool.
The car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth ain't wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference.
Right, that's decent, right? So then we got the same one. Another one more parallel compressor, right? Same thing, duplicate the vocal, except we're not gonna do the rolling off all the high stuff. We're just gonna take a compressor. See, you know, that's an old EQ, so take that off. Take the compressor, same trick, 20, squash it, like roll that threshold back to 20 so it starts low, it starts to do the squashing thing. Squash the heck out of it. Roll, fast attack, super slow release. And literally you got
make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular.
See how it's just like getting like the vocal is getting
moving like a missile.
to
I don't
nothing.
move without scripture.
But it
this
gives
was
it
the
that
CBCC while we was
weight.
making CDs.
It has a weight to
with
it.
television while we was watching TV.
And this is to give your main vocal a little more weight, as well as some of that high end. So we can, and usually I don't blend this in a lot at all. So try this. Check this out. We can pop it in, same way we done the high end.
The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth ain't wealth is riches. See, we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison.
See, I gave it a little more body too, in addition to the high end, because we done a high end blend, and now we got this one. This gives it that a little more body. So now that we got both, this is where I finally start to do my volume riding with my fader. And then upon this process too, this is the last part. Like this is like I don't use any more EQ. I don't use any more compression, like because I want to keep it natural. I like what I've achieved with it, so that way I don't have to keep making constant tweaks. It makes it easier for me. You can always do what makes you comfortable, but for me personally, I don't like to keep using EQ because you have to keep making moves. And EQ can throw off your phase if used too frequently. I mean, like too much, because you just gotta balance stuff out. That's the whole point. But I found it easier to have a set space to do it. Like this is the way I do it. This is how I mix Busy Bones vocals. It came out phenomenal in my opinion. So check this out, right?
The trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part.
So like I was saying, I don't use any more EQ, any more compression. Maybe slight with the compression if I need to control something. If it's just like I need to be, because I try to get it like perfectly how I want it. But in this stage, I constantly just move the fader up and down till I find a spot. And I'm gonna show you this fader riding technique. And what I do is just make those adjustments with the volume automation if I find a low part in the vocal. While I'm mixing the song, like I just literally turn the low parts up. And like I said, you make good recordings, you don't have to worry about that too much. It make it easier on yourself. So for instance, like here.
Bought the empty shop and cost the dirty dishes.
So we're gonna find we take the main vocal, and now we're gonna blend the main vocal to where it sets right with that snare. And how I do that is that I kind of do it how I do EQ, right? You boost it super high to see where you don't want to go. And when here I do it super high to see where I don't want to go, and I do it super low to I don't want to go. So I fall somewhere in between so the vocal will set right in the mix and it'll pop right through. So let's try it.
The trailer park the empty shop and cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like.
See there? It's too low. All I can hear is what I'm trying to blend, like the super high and the super low parallel compressed vocals. So too low, so let's move on up.
The car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Hope it's rough and you think rough is riches, see we different. No bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move.
That's too high. So we can come back down and we can just start over.
The trailer park the empty shop and cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Hope it's part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Hope it's rough and you think rough is riches, see we different. No bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving like a missile, I don't move without description. This was in CBCC while we was making CDs. A prophet with television while we was watching TV. The worth Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit.
Notice how I kept going back and forth. Like I turn it all the way down, turn it all the way up, turn it all the way down, because I'm trying to see where it hits at like numerous times, so it'll give me a more certain, like it gives me more certainty, like, okay, this is a good spot for the vocal to be at. Like when I do it and it's gonna hit right here, this is where it's gonna sound best at. And I constantly do that. And even I'll turn the whole mix down so I'm not getting tricked. And that's why it's important to take breaks. You want to take your breaks because you can get fooled into thinking where it sounds right. Just take a break and literally start over again. Do the same process.
Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Hope it's rough and you think rough is riches, see we different. No bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving like a missile, I don't move without description. Music up, my mama made a biscuit. Hope it's rough and you think rough is riches, see we different. No bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving music up, my mama made a biscuit. Hope it's rough and you think rough is riches, see we different.
I'm finding around this negative 3.6, 4.2 range. Like that sounds decent to me. Then that's how I find it. So.
My mama made a biscuit. Hope it's rough and you think rough is riches, see we different. No bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it. Made a biscuit. Hope it's rough and you think rough is riches, see.
You can even go up. Like usually when if I find a range, if I want a little bit more, I'll go up 1 dB from like the highest in that range. So like I said, I found it at like negative 4.2 in between like negative 3.6, right? So I literally go up 1. I go to negative 2.6 or 5, like around that area, like negative 2.7.
Mama made a biscuit. Hope it's rough and you think rough is riches, see we different. No bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it. Mama made a biscuit. Hope it's rough and you think rough is riches, see we different. No bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not.
Sometimes I'll compromise in between that, and then I'll do it again.
Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Hope it's rough and you think rough is riches, see we different. No bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular.
See, every time I come out at that negative 2 negative 4.2 range. Like that's how I feel comfortable with it, and literally that's how I do my vocals. So in that way, like it's like see that it's at the mix level now. I can turn it up.
Mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches, see we different. No right to prove, but why they pick your poison make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture.
And I have, and so that lets me know like, okay, this will be great in mastering, because in mastering they're gonna add little trinkets, like they'll spread it out, with and they'll spread it out in the stereo field, and I can do a mastering video later, but the things that happen like this, for instance, like you're literally boosted, maybe you give it a little bit more high end, maybe because in mastering is really subtle moves. Like the highest you're going to EQ is 2. Like that's the highest, in my opinion, if you got a good mix, like period. So
my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches, see we different. No right to prove, but why they pick your poison make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture.
You can kind of see that idea, like that will kind of be implemented in mastering, like something like that.
Then wealth is riches, see we different. No right to prove, but why they pick your poison make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular.
And you see how like I added this EQ on the whole entire mix, and it sounded great because I got everything leveled for one. I got my vocal in a good spot because I leveled my snares and everything how I wanted it, and I literally just added that, and it just gave it a clean sound. So check it out again.
Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches, see we different. No right to prove, but why they pick your poison make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving like a missile, I don't move without description. This was a CBCC while we was making CDs. A prophet with television while we was.
And you see what I'm saying? And we can even quote unquote take it like to a mastering volume. Like I just pull this up, like it's weird. Reaching that master level, and it still has a clean sound. You can hear the dynamics, and we can you can push it hot. I usually use the EQ plugin to push my volume. But yeah, that's how I do that. And like I was saying, say you feel like you at a good level that you might, and what I do too is sometimes I just redo the whole thing again, like bring the volume vocal down, do the same thing, but we come here, right? The main melody. It could compete with your vocal. I literally start to tweak this, not my vocal, so I give my vocal more room, and it's untouched. It still mixed how I like it, and I can get more volume out. So let's try this.
A major part in my different. No right to prove, but why they pick your poison make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Wealth and you think wealth is riches, see we different. No right to prove, but why they pick your
Oh yeah, this is the one I tucked under the main melody. So yeah, see how I cut this out? You can cut it out. I can cut out even more. So let's do like this was this is the freaks where I find I was competing with my vocal in this melody part. I just literally high pitched it. That's all.
Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and you think wealth is riches, see we different. No right to prove, but why they pick your poison make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my prove, but why they pick your poison make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it.
And that's what I do to get more volume. Like I'd rather thin out a melody instrument than thin out a bass or my vocal. Cause it's just like, you know what I'm saying? And it makes more sense to me. And maybe I'll come here in the crowd, like, cause it's just like background stuff. I'll thin that out even more. Like, or maybe, like slide this up so I can get more prominent sound out of my vocals. Let's try it.
Bought the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like. You
can hear how it's kind of opening up more. Like, now thin this out even more, maybe on this part. You want to be careful because you want to thin it out on each melody part, depending on how many you have equally. So, because you want all the parts of your verse or whatever it is to be even. You don't want the parts to be louder, and this part has more high end than the other. And you just work accordingly. Use your ears.
The trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches, see we different.
They even have settings on here like mode, right? The side, mid, and how affect that.
Dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches, see.
So that was actually the master. I like to own the whole thing, so let's side mid with.
Trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up. Park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part.
You can see how I clicked it off and it's like this rumble and stuff came back. And if you like that, that's cool. But me personally, just to create space for it, I just cut it out. And you can always turn it up to regain. Because what you're doing, you're turning it down. You just put the output gain and you turn up a new equalized sound. Like, okay, so.
Empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up. The trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches, see we different. No bite the fruit, but wisely pick. Trailer park, the empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition.
So yeah, you could turn, affect just that. Usually what I do to get it even better, maybe I'll put a little bit more of that blend in with that parallel or that high end. Like I'll just.
It cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia.
You see what I'm saying? So like that way I get to turn up, I get to put more high end in it without bringing out too many harsh frequencies because it's super compressed. So I can just keep blending it, keep turning it up. You don't want to do too much, but I can turn it up more, like the parallel compressed high end of the main vocal, and I can still get a great sound, and it can still, it can just get better. So.
Empty shop, it cost the dirty dishes. The crazy part that played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a picture. Moving lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You move biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. Made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. See we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious.
So as you can see, that doesn't affect. If I still feel like, okay, I want a little bit more punch.
That played a major part in my ambition. The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth.
And it's just that simple. And like for instance, say like at Health is Wealth, I felt like it was a little bit low. So I'll come in.
Music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches, see we different. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. My mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches, see we different. Made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches. Health is wealth and youth and wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison. Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth ain't wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but why?
Literally, I just turned up the part that I felt like it was low to help his wealth. And I feel like if I don't want to keep turning it up, what I'll do is I'll cut out something that's distracting it, right? Like the kick. The kick is loud, but I want it to be loud, but just not right at that part. So.
My mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth ain't wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit.
I'm saying, and it really doesn't make a big difference. Like it's like, oh my God, something, and it also it helps add a dynamic, and it adds more. It makes the beat more interesting, so it's not so loopy. So it's like,
mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth ain't wealth is riches, see we different.
You see what I'm saying? Like I could cut the 808 out, all the bass out, and it had room for you to hear what I was saying in that part more clear, you know.
My mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth ain't wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the.
It gives it a little cool bounce, you know what I mean?
The music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth ain't wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular. You're moody, better move it, cause my music is a.
Notice I kept popping this EQ off, on and off, like as if I'm mastering. Like what this, you can do that in mixing, but usually I do that like that final entire master bus EQ in mastering. And it, like I said, if you get out all this stuff like in a good space, right, when you add those EQs, those compressors in mastering, it literally like it sounds right. It gives it a better sound versus doing it like, you know, you're trying to fix a problem in mastering. Like all your fixing and everything should be right in mixing. If the mix is not right, I don't even send it to master. I don't want the mastering to be like, well, we gotta fix this. And like, no, let me fix it in mixing. Then I give it to you mastering and be good. Mastering should be the salt. Period. Just like mixing should be mixing should be salt to your recording. Mastering should be salt to your mixing. And I say that as in like the salt should just be a look like something to make it taste better, not good, better. So that implies that it should already be good. You see what I'm saying? So let's listen to that with the EQ as if I'm mastering it.
The lights was out, the car would start like Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth ain't wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a.
See how it just gave it that life. You can kind of listen to it. You listen to it loads. Because usually when you master, you add all that stuff, the EQs and stuff, while it's still in a mixed state, so you can actually hear it. So like.
Daddy turned the music up, my mama made a biscuit. Health is wealth and youth ain't wealth is riches, see we different. Don't bite the fruit, but wisely pick your poison, make a difference. I move with a militia, not malicious in particular.
Just a little bit more life. That's literally what it was. And I'll add like maybe two. Like I'll cut maybe some low rumble just to give that high, depending on how I want to mix. But if you're most of the time I don't boost bass in mastering because, like I said, if you level out your instruments, give it some good distortion, you can keep it at a good level, right under your kick at that -14, between that 9 and 18, you won't have to do any boosting. Because I've in the past I've tried to boost my bass, and in fact, it made my mix, it threw my mix off because I had it at a perfect level how I wanted it, and that bass just gave it too much, so I just cut it out. And yeah, so I like literally, I'm telling you, get your levels right, get everything in that pocket, gain stage properly, and when you go to master, it makes a heck of a lot of difference. Like it's to me, you just set yourself up for success. But this is one way. God creates many ways in humans. You know what I'm saying? You guys are super creative. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't got, for me, I'm just giving you a guideline. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like if I can offer you something I know about mixing, this is it. And I've got some pretty cool accomplishments with the mixing that I've been doing. So, just to give you guys some gems. And, you know, if you don't want to pay pay me to do it, you can kind of do it yourself. I'm not against giving you the wisdom, but if you do want to, you want my services, I'll put my a link in the description, my email, and you can email me there, and we can talk about some service. I offer you some mixing services. But other than that, yeah, man, it's been a good video. It's been a good tutorial. It's been a great time on here on YouTube talking about mixing with Mixcraft. Like I said, man, we got the Busy Bone one coming up real soon. The song is not released yet, but in the meantime, you can listen to the original song that we done the remix for with Busy Bone on the G.I. Wonder YouTube channel. The description is in the link. You can check out our album Trinity. Also, be on the lookout for my album, the EP, the project 93. The pre-sale should be up. The pre-sale should already be up. And the album is coming out on New Year's, so I cannot wait. You guys can check out that, and yeah, man, Crime Wave, Christ really is moving everywhere. So y'all be good. I'm out. Let's go.
Crime Wave.